Thank you. I got
That's fine.
the evening meeting.
So they have a head up on it.
I mean, it's just like 12 minutes, and I don't know.
Let's come up with Ms. Stater, brief comment on that real quick.
That'd be a way to do
That's a little program. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. New record?
Yeah.
That's better. And there's still 1 minute, Oliver. 2 minutes. No,
6:58.
that's good. On telephone time. Hey, Steve. Me. Are you going to speak regarding the what is it? Sponsor? Secretary of People. Yeah. Thanks, because Alicia's not here. Alicia's not here. Yeah, so you just say something on it? Just, I appreciate it. Thanks.
You're doing it.
See ya. He's going to be here. Who?
Yeah, you don't need that.
Did the ones they wanted to get 10%, get 10%? I think so. I don't think it's up there. So sorry. That's an in your face. I know. Hey. Did you hear something to do with, the over the marks? I don't know that. Did you hear it? I will allow. Did you hear her say that way? You will have that. Great. 1, 2, look at this. You're ready to go. I'm good. Derek's supposed to be here, so it's good. You ready? I'm ready. Good evening. We'd like to call the Monday, February 10, South Bend Common Council meeting to order. At this time, we would like to rise for the invocation from Chaplain Dave Porterfield, who's here. He's coming forth. Yes, there it is. Here it is.
Let's bow our heads and pray for God's blessing. God, let the light of your truth guide us to your kingdom through a world filled with lights contrary to your own. All things are of your making. All times and all seasons obey your laws. In your spirit we live and move and have our being. Grant to the members of our city council that they be truly wise and trust in the counsel of your Holy Spirit in the decisions that they make for the well-being and happiness of the residents of South Bend. You live forever, Lord and King. All things of the earth justly sing your glory and honor. Strengthen us against evil. We may rejoice in your peace and trust in your daily protection. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. City Clerk Gordon, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Scott, present. Mr. Henry Davis,
Great, sir.
Mrs. Shea. Here. Dr. Hurlick. Here. Dr. Mark.
Thanks.
Vice President Hurlick.
Here.
Councilmember West.
Present.
President Oliver.
I'm present.
G8 present.
Thank you. And now we are prepared for the report from the subcommittees on minutes.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the January 13th, 2014 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved. Signed, Oliver Davis, David Burns.
Thank you. What is your pleasure?
I move that we accept the report of the minutes from subcommittee.
Second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, the same sign. It is carried. at this time, do we have any representatives from Indiana University Counseling Department? Anybody here from Indiana University? If not, we will just table that, and we will do that at our next meeting, and we will move over Bill 1410. At this time, according to our South Bend Municipal Code, we will not have the mayor's annual address to the city pursuant to Section 2-3-1. I would like to note the mayor will be having a separate speech on this coming Wednesday. I believe that's 6:30 at the Bendix Theater down at Century Center. This is a highlight of some of the issues he may be bringing there, but he will bring some attention to that. And I also would like for the mayor to give a brief address regarding the council action that we took regarding the letter and information. There are some people here regarding the article that was in the paper yesterday, and so if you could address that first, and then you can go on to your presentation. We'd like to welcome our Mayor of South Bend, Mayor Pete Buttigieg.
Thank you, and good evening. And thank you for the opportunity also to respond to a letter I received earlier today from the council. The letter indicated preference from those signing it that really make sure that there's dialogue between the city of South Bend and the city of Mishawaka, which could be affected by any action the council would take to assert a 4-mile radius for utility extension boundaries. I'm very much of the same mind that there's value in that dialogue, so I've spent time today in productive conversations with Mayor Dave Wood of Mishawaka. And if the council refers that bill, which is up for first reading today, to the Utilities Committee, I believe there would be ample time in the 2 weeks before that committee convenes to take any action or any public debate on that, to have had a much more productive and fully involved discussion with Mishawaka and try to make sure that everybody, to the extent possible, is viewing things the same way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And with that, I'll go to the annual address. As was mentioned, this is prescribed by ordinance, and this is separate from the State of the City address, and will emphasize the financial aspects of the city in a little bit greater detail than we would during the State of the City address, which will be on Wednesday evening, which everybody is very warmly invited. First thing we wanted to show you is just a quick rundown of where we stand and a few things to draw your attention to. As predicted and as required of us, the general fund is in balance, and if you look at the actual numbers that we now have back to 2013, we see that it came in within about $40,000 revenues and expenditures, so we're able to meet the targeted balance there with a very close fidelity. Overall revenues come in about 2% below expenditures, and that is largely a function of enterprise fund capital spending. In that respect, we had reserves that were being spent down for capital purposes last year, largely on utility-related issues. The enterprise fund revenues were lower than expenditures by about $15 million, and it just makes it clear that the biggest you see it goes from this 113 to a lower number in 13. That is largely just a function of the fact that a revenue bond was not issued in the past year the way it was prior. So it's not like there's a massive decline in the fee-based revenue that's coming in so much as it is that there was the influx of funding that you get on the revenue side when we do issue a bond. Redevelopment revenues were $8 million over expenditures, with TEF revenues climbing, and also just because we saw redevelopment and Department of Community Investment operating under budgeted levels. That simply creates more room for maneuver in the future, so consider that to be within a normal range and overall a positive thing. And just to clarify, we see that number's special revenue, which can be leave a little bit for the imagination. That's going to include Parks and Rec, motor vehicle, highway, and loss recovery, among other funds. Just want to give you a sense of how each of those major categories of revenues evolved over time. And I think I mentioned this last year, not to be thrown too much by what happened in the general fund from 2008 and 2009. That had to do with a one-off irregularity in the way property taxes were distributed, and so to get a sense of the overall value of those 2 years, you would want to kind of split the difference and make an average. So you can see the general fund is off slightly in 13 compared to 12, partly as a consequence of fluctuations in assessed value, but broadly consistent over recent years. Again, you see the enterprise fund drop off from 12 to 13. This is primarily driven by the fact that a wastewater revenue bond was not issued in 2013. And you also see redevelopment pretty steady. There was that spike in 2010, but that again was just an artifact of when property tax revenues were collected. So here again you've seen a fairly steady progression from year to year in our major categories. You'll see as we go to the expenditure side that this year the pattern holds that we're at a markedly higher rate of expenditure in the enterprise funds compared to where we would have been 3 years ago. That's a result of the long-term control plan kicking in, so that's a trend you would expect to continue unless and until there are measures that drive down the regular expenditures required of us in the long-term control plan to meet our obligations on wastewater. You also can see an uptick in debt and capital projects. A lot of that is the fire department. We had Fire Station 5 go live this past year, and while we aren't quite ready to cut the ribbon on the Luther Taylor Fire Training Center, it is nearing completion, and most of those funds have been funded last year, so that would also contribute to that number being a little bit higher than we're used to seeing. Here's a chart over time showing you how the overall revenues and expenditures stack up. I just want to point out that, again, part of this can be a little bit misleading because if you think of it just as a flow, are we keeping up, are we spending more than we take in, you would leave out the impact on these numbers that you get when you do issue a bond. So that's part of what you're seeing here. And we're spending down a balance. You see an extra, if you measure the space between the blue line and the red line, that's the creation of some extra funding during a bond issue that would have happened in 12. And that's what makes it possible to be actually a little bit under the incoming revenue in 2013. Just want to bear in mind that even though that blue dot representing revenue is under the red dot representing expenditures, the general fund was in fact balanced when it came to 2013. This is a closer view on the general fund in particular. Again, the time of property tax receipts kind of throws off 2008, 2009, but the bottom line is that the admin and finance team has done a good job working with the council of anticipating correctly in the budget process how the revenue and expenditures are going to fall out, and that's allowing us to keep those dots as close together as possible. I think some residents might be surprised to learn where most of the revenue of the overall city comes from, so I just want to highlight this. Charges for services, things like sewer and water bills, are actually the single biggest source of dollars. That would be fees related to wastewater, water, solid waste. We also get some parks revenue that would go into this category. Followed by property taxes, which come into the general fund, parks, as well as the Hall of Fame and the TIF funds. Intergovernmental funds, this doesn't capture internal transfers. This is about funds that are coming our way from the state, grants that we might get from the federal government, and pension relief. Transfers in, this is something that you can actually think of as an accounting artifact. This is simply how we account for the dollars that move around among our departments. And then this local income tax, which includes both the public safety load and the county option income tax, as well as EDIT. Bond proceeds, as I said earlier, a lower number this year than you might be used to seeing, just as a result of the absence of wastewater bond. In terms of where the dollars are going, public safety accounts for the biggest chunk, followed by water and sewer. So when you add those two together, certainly the majority of what the city expenditures go to are basic services, life support, what I like to call taking care of the basics, or making sure the basics are easy for citizens. I want to highlight this sliver here. You might think of that sliver there in the general government category as our overhead. This would include the administration and finance team, legal team, and actually all of us, the council and mayor's office budgets, would also show up in this category. As in prior years, by far, the vast majority of general fund dollars goes into public safety. This is one of the reasons, since this is the property tax supported element of our budget, that you'll find that all cities, including the city of South Bend, are especially careful to make sure that there is both predictability and adequacy in the amount of property taxes that we're able to collect. General government, again, would include mayor, council, admin and finance, and related departments. And then wanted to break out code so you could have a picture of that, as well as the portion of engineering streets, culture, and recreation. In the past, I think it was common practice to account for full-time employment in the city in terms of budgeted positions. We're trying to move toward getting you visibility on actual positions. So this represents the number of actual physical people employed by the city as of December 31st in each year. What you don't see here, but I think is a positive trend, is that this is getting a little bit closer to the budgeted number. There's always a gap. You always have some number of vacancies. But that is allowing us to be more efficient with our budget. And it's one of the reasons why, even though the budget has been squeezed and we're seeing a contraction in the number of budgeted positions, we've actually been able to handle that without a big contraction in the number of people providing services to residents in the city. So at December 31st, we had 9 positions unfilled, which I think is a pretty healthy number for how close we are to having most of our positions in the city filled at any given time. Most of those people, matter of fact, fully half of the people who work for the city are public safety at 579. The next biggest category is public works, 297 employees, and on the full-time side, Parks and Recreation accounts for 113. As you know, quite a few more join the ranks of Parks and Recreation during the summertime. That's by far our biggest category of seasonal employment. Another piece of good news to share, we are once again the highest rated Class 2 city in the state of Indiana. So this is a distribution of all of the public entities in the state of Indiana, including the state of Indiana itself, that issue debt and how they're rated. And you can see that most of them, or the median at least, would be in that A+ range. Higher than that would be AA-. Higher than that is AA, and that's where South Bend is. So we're happy to be in that position. It lowers our borrowing costs over the long run. And if you just look at our peer Class 2 cities, you can see that we are at the top of the heap. I think at a time when a lot of folks look at federal government spending and conclude that all of the finances are in terrible shape, it bears repeating that South Bend's are quite strong, thanks to stewardship by the South Bend Common Council and the administration and our predecessors to put us in a good position here. I wanted to share some of the things that got the attention of the credit rating agencies. This is what they look at when they're deciding what rating to give us. So they mentioned our role as a sort of capital of Michigan, diversified local economy. They've complemented the financial operations. So they noted that our debt is very much at a manageable level, as well as the role of what they call the eds and meds, universities, and healthcare systems here in the city. These are the things that can affect us. I don't think they're a surprise to those of us who work on public policy every day. The biggest things that would be a concern for anybody assessing the creditworthiness of our city is the income level. The fact that we continue to struggle with low income in a lot of portions of the community, and the fact that our unemployment rate, while I'm pleased to report, is substantially down from what it was a year ago, is still above average for the state and above average for the U.S. Now, actually just putting that debt rating in an overall perspective, this is where we would stand if you look at every government, whatever class 1, class 2, class 3, in the state itself. It's interesting, Indianapolis was ranked above us. They've actually slipped down to AA. So out of, I believe, 200 some local government entities, we are tied for 11th place in terms of condition of finances. So something I think we can stand on as we're thinking about the benefits of having made some of the tough choices we've had to make financially. This concludes my remarks on the general financial state of the city. I'll comment in a more expansive fashion on Wednesday evening on the many exciting things that I think have happened in the last year and are forthcoming. But being respectful of the time that many people here, we'll conclude my remarks today.
Real quick, we will take questions and comments, and we will start first district. And head on down this way from the council members for the mayor.
Thank you for your report.
Okay, second district, Councilman Davis.
Yeah, Mayor, thank you for your report. I just have a question. I think that this is something that I'm trying to figure out, and I hope that maybe that you have started thinking about it or have maybe an answer. I wasn't necessarily critical of that, actually. I thought it was probably a very good move. I think I sent you a tweet and told you good job on that, because I thought there has to be a way that we start capturing new revenues, new dollars into our kitty for our trust, because of what we were suffering from with population loss and also housing loss as well. Given the fact that you stated that sewer and water bring in a considerable amount of dollars into our coffers so that we can expand or make sure that we maintain city services. So with that all being on the table, and even the fact that, you know, this whole situation may be expanding the sewer and water services to outlying areas, may happen or may not happen, what is the thought process at this point as far as annexation of some of those outlying areas? Because it's critical that we do jump out there and get out there. Nothing against Mr. Walker, but I'm pro-South Bend. I'm not anti-Mr. Walker, but I'm just pro-South Bend. And so when we begin to talk about those things and making sure that we have the ability to capture revenues that are out there for us, the chances of us doing it, you know, and competing or talking about it with other cities, I'm just interested in how do we go about this so that we can begin to grow again. I don't see any new housing being built in areas where the demolitions of houses is taking place. I don't know if there's a plan to introduce new housing into those areas, but it has to be a twofold approach in some way that we are growing again. And it has to happen obviously within the city, but also being able to extend services so we can pull more dollars into the city as well.
I think it's a very good question, Councilman, and we're having, I think, an evolving perspective on annexation. There's been very little annexation activity in recent years, although there have been a couple small voluntary annexations. I think while there's nothing live underway right now, it certainly always bears revisiting from time to time for a city to make sure that its boundaries make sense. I think if there were to be any annexations in the future, our administration's approach to that would be guided by two considerations. The first and most important is, would the residents of that area be made better off? And the second would be, would the city as a whole be made better off? And the reason I would differentiate those two is just that there might be some cases where you would have an area or a development or residents that would like to be annexed, but when we run the numbers, we actually find that that would be damaging to the bottom line of the city. So it can go either way depending, you know, every area is different depending on the density, the cost of extending services. There's some areas you already extend services to that are not in the city limits, but others where that would entail going out a lot of capital costs. And so we need to be positioning ourselves, I think, that if that were ever to come up, we have the resources to do that kind of case-by-case analysis so that we can make sure that that any proposal that were to come up, even once it was kind of established that that would certainly make everybody better off in terms of who's in that area, they would also be the right thing to do for the city as a whole.
Thank you. Councilwoman Shea.
Thank you for your report. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Fred.
Mayor, how does our city overhead compare with other cities? We're 5%. Is that comparable like every other city? I don't know, so that's why I'm asking you.
We've not been able to benchmark in terms of an overall set. One of the things that makes it difficult is because you have things like the enterprise funds that come in where other cities might not run their water utility, or you have a city like Mishawaka that also runs an electric utility on top of theirs. So it would be a challenge, I think, to get to an apples-to-apples number. I don't mean to suggest that's impossible, and certainly something I'd be interested to know as well. So we'll look into that.
Thank you.
Councilman Varner.
Well, just for the record, I'm pro-South Bend too, but I appreciate your thoughts with regard to the meeting some sort of finding some sort of an amicable solution, which lets us move forward beneficially with regards to extensions of utilities, and at the same time prevents what perhaps could be a legal issue or the need for a statewide resolution or legislative resolution. So I think that's a positive. Thank you for your time, and we'll see you Wednesday night.
Thank you.
I know. Mine wasn't either. Okay, cool. Councilman Phillips.
Thanks for the presentation. No question. Thank you.
Councilman White.
No questions, and see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Ready. Again, I would just like to reiterate what we had at our lunch, is that not only would I be meeting with you, but I've opened it up for every month. If you could have Matt or somebody from the office to contact the council people so that all of us could have time, I know, to meet with you, Deputy Mayor Mark Neal, when he gets in off, so you can hear, I'd have access to all of us. And hear different stories that are going on in our different councilmatic districts.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to more one-on-one interactions with council members.
Okay. All righty. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Wednesday night, I'm going to announce that again.
Yes, Wednesday night at 6:30 at the Century Center. We will follow with a reception. Nothing fancy. We'll get some cookies and coffee out for folks who would like to gather afterwards. And we are encouraging individuals, if anybody has any lightly used winter weather clothing, gloves, hat, scarf, anything like that, to bring that along. We'll take up a collection at the entrance to the speech.
Thank you. Peanut butter cookies, please. Thank you. All righty. Okay. Before we go on, we'd like to acknowledge our new Deputy Chief City Clerk, Ms. Karina Fowler. I'd like to welcome you to our meetings. We're up to Monday night. All righty. Are there any other reports of the city at this time? Seeing none. We will now like to have a motion to resolve into the committee of the whole.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is carried.
You want to get Oliver's name too?
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Oh, yeah. I'm still.
The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council meeting where the council sits as a committee. Proposed ordinances are read by title only by City Clerk John Bordy. Reports are then verbally given by the chairperson of the council standing committee to which the proposed ordinance was sent for an advisory review and recommendation. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member of the area plan will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. Excuse me. And then the formal presentation follows a public hearing. During this portion of the meeting, we ask that everyone turn off their cell phones and other electronic devices out of respect for our guests. Additional rules governing the Committee of the Whole are set forth in the brochure available on the railing of the council chambers. I now ask City Clerk John Bordy to read Substitute Bill 6913.
Public hearing on a bill of the County Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending various sections within Chapter 4, Article 4 of the South Bend Municipal Code, requiring electronic reporting of transactions by precious metal dealers regulated in Section 4-44, by scrap metal dealers, junk dealers, valuable metal dealers, and recycling operations regulated by Section 4-51, and second-hand stores regulated in Section 4-53.
Motion to accept the substitute bill.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? May I now have the formal presentation?
Committee report.
Health and Public Safety met today and sends to the full council favorable recommendation for Bill 6913.
May I now have the formal presentation of Substitute Bill 6913?
Are they leaving?
I am Detective Wade with the Southland Police Department. I have with me Sergeant Dominic Voltansky and Detective Jennifer Goebel. My comments will be brief, I promise. We're here tonight to ask the Common Council to consider and approve that ordinances governing the precious metal dealers, metal dealers, and precious metals orders. These amendments bring us into compliance with state law, which went into effect January 1st of this year. The most notable change is the electronic reporting requirement, which simplifies and streamlines the reporting process for businesses as well as for the police department's record keeping. The amended ordinance simplifies the wording and is consistent across the ordinances. The Southland Police Department is using an online reporting program called Believe Online to manage this online reporting requirements in September 2013 with great success. And we've had great feedback from the businesses that have participated thus far.
Thank you. So at this point, I will ask council if you have any questions. Tim? Henry?
No. And then,
So at this point in time, we will open it up to the public. If there's anyone here wishing to speak in favor, please come to the podium. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? If there's anyone here wishing to speak opposed. Seeing no one, I will now return, the public portion is now closed and the council portion shall commence. May I ask the council for a motion on substitute bill 6913?
move that this go to the council with a favorable recommendation.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Substitute Bill 6913 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
So here comes the chief. Okay.
I now ask Clerk John Bordy to read Bill 70.
You can do that by proper motion. It would not need to be read this evening to continue.
I have bill number 7013, be continued indefinitely.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Bill 7013 will be continued indefinitely. I now ask City Clerk John Bordy to read Bill 1-14.
Public hearing on a bill of the County Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating the fixed sum of $150,000 plus up to an additional $125,000 from economic development income tax, edit, Fund 408, for capital obligations pursuant to the agreement with the Potawatomi Zoological Society.
It would be appropriate to hear both Bill 0114 and 0214 together for purposes of public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So we will hear Bill 114 and 214 together.
Yes, John.
214, public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, transferring a not-to-exceed sum of $900,000 within Parks and Recreation General Fund number 201 from personnel costs into other professional services and appropriating said monies to satisfy contractual obligations to the Potawatomi Zoological Society.
Thank you, Clerk Bordy. The Parks Committee met earlier today. May I have a committee report?
Parks Committee met today and sends to the full council a favorable recommendation for 0114, 0214.
Thank you. We now have the formal presentation for these two bills.
John Murphy, City Controller, office on the 12th floor. Both of these bills relate to budget bills related to implementing the public-private partnership agreement that was entered into January 1st with the Zoological Society. The first bill appropriates $150,000 from the edit fund, which is often used for capital. In addition, for capital items, the second appropriation is up to $125,000. $50,000 of that would be reimbursed. The net effect is $75,000 for some parking improvements out at the zoo. The second bill transfers $900,000 from personnel categories to a services account to pay for to pay for operating costs the Zoological Society will have there. As you know, 18 employees were transferred from city employment to the society. That's been accomplished. This transfer is made in 2 payments. One payment has been made. It was due January 15th, $450,000. The second payment will be made by June 1st, in addition up to $450,000 as well. There are 3 employees that are remaining with the city employment for vesting purposes. Those costs will be deducted from the amount paid to the society. So it'll be something less than $450,000. That's the essence of the bills. I have Marcy Dean, the Executive Director from the Zoo, and Phil St. Clair, the Parks and Recreation Superintendent here, to answer any questions if you should have any.
Thank you. Council, I will provide the opportunity to ask questions. Councilwoman White?
All my questions were addressed in the committee meeting.
Thank you.
No, ma'am, thank you.
Dr. Orr? No.
None.
Councilman Davis?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Scott? No? Okay, great, thank you. So at this point in time, we will open the hearing up to the public. Are there any guests here wishing to speak in favor of these 2 bills? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of Bills 114 and 214?
Good evening.
Speaking.
My name is Phil St. Clair, and I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation. My office is 321 East Wall Street, South Bend. Just briefly, I want to again offer my support for this bill. I do want to point out that items 6.4 and 6.5 in the agreement that was approved by the Board of Park Commissioners late last year, that we have an obligation to pay these sums for our agreement. Bottom line is that this is still less expensive for us to operate the zoo in 2014 than it was on our projected budget. Our projected operating subsidy was about $1.1 million, so this is a savings. We looked at this contract in a way that would create long-term sustainability for the zoo and to create an opportunity for the Zoological Society to enter into a good agreement with the zoo that hopefully will put the zoo on solid ground financially over the years to come. We're excited about the partnership. Just in a short amount of time through our transitional time, we think the society's done a great job moving forward. So we're excited about this, and we would just ask the council to support this bill.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other members from the audience that would like to speak in favor of Bills 114 and 214? Please state your name and address.
Good evening, George Warren. I'm the president of the Potawatomi Zoological Society. I will try to be as brief as Phil, as long as I don't bust the microphone. We'd just like to thank you all for the consideration you gave us last fall in approving going forward with the public-private partnership. We're now into our 2nd month, and I won't go over everything we talked about in the committee meeting, but I think the first 2 months so far have been very successful. We've accomplished a lot transitioning employees, setting up benefit plans. We've got a construction project going forward. We're working on putting together a master plan, the RFP for which will go out very shortly yet this month, and we're looking to have the master plan in place by the end of the year. We're working on our accreditation program through AZA and have a lot of bids that should be coming in within the next month to complete those projects around the zoo, a lot of which will be helped by some of the funds that you are being asked to approve tonight. So in conjunction with what the Mayor's office has asked and what Bill St. Clair has asked, we'd like your approval of this fund transfers today. Again, we appreciate your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public wishing to speak in favor of these bills? Seeing no one, is there anyone here wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Okay. The public portion of this is now closed. May I ask for a motion on bill numbers 114?
We have to do it separate.
Oh, may I ask for a motion on bill 114?
Move for favorable recommendation on Bill 114.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? All those opposed?
I move for favorable recommendation for Bill 0214.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Bills 114 and 214 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. May I now ask, Kathy, would you read the substitute, Council Attorney Sikansky, would you please read the substitute 6413?
Just a notice to the public, at the last common council meeting by proper motion, which was carried, in a second, which was carried, the next bill, bill number 6413, was closed to the public comment, and so it will be heard only in the council portion. Councilmember Bordy does not have to read the title. However, it would be appropriate for the chair to call upon the head of Public Works in light of the fact that there's a substitute bill on file with the council. Perhaps a motion to accept that substitute and then have a brief summary of the title.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries.
We need to amend it now. Do we need to amend the title now?
Yes, thank you. A proper motion in substitute bill 6413 to strike the word 2017 at the end of the title and replace it with 2016.
So moved.
All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries. May I now have a committee report from the Utilities Committee on substitute amended bill 6413.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Utilities Committee had a public hearing on the substitute version of the bill, which essentially shortens the time period from 4 years to 3, but changes the proposed rate increase over that 3-year period from 9% a year to 4% a year. The date was amended 5% a year. Thank you. Thank you. Did I say 4? Yeah, I said 5. You asked what you wish for. The date was amended because it was proposed as a 3-year as opposed to a 4-year. So at this point, it came with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Thank you. May I now have the formal presentation from Public Works Director Eric Horvath.
Council members, appreciate all the participation by the council members and cooperation trying to figure out a plan forward and dealing with what we all understand is a very serious issue here, sewers backing up the basements and overflowing into our rivers, and trying to find a way to do it in a way that we can still provide for the residents a rate that is competitive, and also for the businesses, so that we can continue to push economic development in the city and do so because we've got competitive sewer and water rates. So I appreciate your participation. I look forward to working with the council as well as the citizens on moving long-term control plans forward. We are going to be relooking at a number of different areas that we think that we may be able to find some significant savings on the program that will affect long-term rates, and so we look forward to that discussion about council and helping in place to do that. I don't have anything further. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for your leadership on this and for your open-mindedness on discussing alternatives, so we appreciate that. I will ask if there are any questions. Councilman Scott? Councilman Davis?
No.
Councilman Davis?
Could you mention again about the work with Green Solutions and what you're looking for to hopefully find in that area?
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, there are a number of different alternatives that we can look at as we look at what the right way to treat the water is. And what we're going to look at is we're going to look at some gray solutions and some green solutions and try to find really the most cost-effective solution that provides as much environmental benefit as we can. And some of those solutions that are becoming really good options for cities that they're finding kind of a double green benefit is, saving dollars and becoming a greener city, are things like rain gardens and finding ways to take care of the water before it even gets to the sewers, so you don't have the issue of combined sewers. And so we absolutely will look at those opportunities as we move this program forward to try to help us find ways to reduce costs and become a little greener.
Thank you. That's why you wore a green tie.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilman Phillips?
Thank you, Eddie.
Councilman Berner?
Ma'am, thanks for your efforts, Eric.
Thank you. Now we will open...
There's no public hearing, just the council.
Oh, okay. Well, with that being said, I ask for a motion on the substitute amended Bill 6413.
So moved.
Move to go favorably, full council.
Favorably.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The amended substitute Bill 6413 goes to the full council with a favorable recommendation. I now ask for a motion to rise and report back to the council.
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And I'm stuck. Oh, I'm sorry. This is yours.
Whoa, this goes back.
The full council is now back in session. We would like for Clerk Forty to read substitute version of Bill 6913.
Third reading on a bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, amending various sections within Chapter 4, Article 4 of the South Bend Municipal Code, requiring electronic recording of transactions by precious metals dealers, regulated in Section 4-44 by scrap metal dealers, junk dealers, valuable metal dealers, and recycling operations, regulated by Section 4-51, and by secondhand stores regulated in Section 4-53.
A motion to amend as it was in the committee of the whole.
So moved. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is carried. Now we'd like to have a roll call vote. Mr. Woody?
Mr. Scott? Aye. Mr. Henry Davis? Aye. Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furley?
Aye.
Dr. Burke?
Aye.
Mr. Furley?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
President Oliver Davis?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. That passes. Now we would like to Mr. Woody to read Bill 01-14.
Public hearing on a bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, appropriating the fixed sum of $150,000 plus up to an additional $125,000 from Economic Development Income Tax Edit Fund number 408 for capital obligations pursuant to agreement with the Potawatomi Zoological Society.
Move for the passage of Bill 01-14.
Second. Thank you. Mr. Woody, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Henry Davis. Aye. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Barnes.
Aye.
Vice President, Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
President Mr. Scott.
Aye.
And President Davis.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you, Mr. Woody. Can you now read Bill 02-14?
Public hearing on a bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, transferring a not to exceed sum of $900,000 within Parks and Recreation General Fund number 201 from personnel costs into professional services and appropriating said monies to satisfy contractual obligations to the Potawatomi Zoological Society.
Move for the passage of 214.
Second. Mr. Woody, could you take the roll, please?
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Barner.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
And President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Woody, could you read Bill 6413?
Public hearing on a bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, amending various sections of Chapter 17, Article 2 of the South Bend Municipal Code to adjust sewer rates and charges incrementally through 2016.
Motion to amend as it was in the committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same sign. It is carried. Now, Mr. Woody, could you please take the roll?
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Barnes.
Aye.
Pardon me? What's up?
We need a motion. You did a motion to amend, but you did not do one to recommend either pass or defeat.
Actually, I so moved your explanation.
That was to accept it.
Right.
Okay.
You need
all
a
right.
second motion.
So move. Well, I can, somebody else can do it.
A motion is so
Thank
moved.
you.
You got it? You got a second? Who did the second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No, that was a roll.
I'd like
That is a roll call?
I'd like to make a motion to accept.
No, the motion is correct, that Dr. Varner made, seconded by Councilmember Scott, to pass the amended version.
So now we just need a roll call, right?
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Roy, would you please take the roll?
Start the roll call again. Dr. Furlick. Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Aye. Mr. Henry Davis.
Nay.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
And President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
7 ayes, 1 nay.
Are we then finished that bill?
Yes.
Okay, all righty. Then moving on to resolutions. Mr. Woody, could you read Resolution 14-06?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1502, 1512 Michigan Street.
Yes, we had a committee hearing today from the zoning annexation. Could we have a report on that?
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Zoning and annexation today in committee, and we sent 1406 favorably to council.
Thank you.
Mark Lyons, the building department, office at 125 South Lafayette. This is given public hearing at the December 4th, 2013 meeting with the Area Board of Zoning Appeals. There is a special exception request to allow automobile sales at 1502/1512 South Michigan Street. Comes with unanimous favorable recommendation. At the time of the public hearing, there was neither anyone speaking in favor or against the petition.
Thank you. Mr. Lyons. Are there any questions for Mr. Lyons at this time? Seeing none, now we'll go to the formal presentation. So is the presenter? Is the presenter here? I thought I saw him. Yeah, there he is. Sir, could you please come forth and just share a few thoughts, a few words? I know. You just put your name and your address, and then you share your presentation.
Luis Morales, 4005 4th Street, South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. Now you can tell us about your...
Okay, that's because I'm trying to change the area that I got right now. That's a CB. I'm trying to change to the GB, to a special license to put a car lot.
Oh, thank you.
To use a car lot
You're moving from
Western.
Western Avenue to use this location? Okay. All right, well, thank you. Questions, comments from the council? Seeing none? Hearing none? We thank you. Now, we would like to open this up to the public. Those who would like to speak in favor of Bill 1406, please rise and give your name and address and share your thoughts. Seeing none, those who would like to speak in opposition, please do likewise. The public hearing is now closed. Back to the council.
Move for the adoption of Bill 1406.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Vorty, would you please read the roll?
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
President Oliver Davis.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you, Mr. Vorty. Now, could you please read Resolution 14-04?
A resolution reconfirming the adoption of a declaratory resolution designating certain areas within the city of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 4601 Nips Parkway, to be an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 5-year personal property tax abatement and extending the abatement for 1 year and changing ownership from South Bend Gear to Somachini, North America.
Thank you, Mr. Vorty. We had a committee meeting this afternoon for the community investment. Can we have that report, Mr. Furlick?
Yes, Community Investment sends 1404 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Now we have our presentation. Could you please state your name, address, and a brief summary of your report?
My name is Gustavo Casanova.
This is 4601 Nims Parkway. We're here to respectfully request an extension, a one-year extension to meet the requirements of the property tax abatement as stated by the memorandum dated February 26, 2011, and to also transfer the abatement from South Bend here to Shamashini, North America.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the council at this time? Seeing none, hearing none, we will now open it up to the public. Those from the public like to speak in favor of Resolution 1404, please come forward. Those who would like to speak in opposition of Resolution 1404, please come forward. Seeing none, we will now bring it back to the council for their decision.
For the adoption of 1404.
Second. Mr. Woody, would you please take the roll?
Mr. Crowley?
Aye.
Councilmember White? Mr. Scott? Aye. Mr. Henry Davis? Aye. Mrs. Shea?
Herself a voto grati, and aye.
Dr. Furlick?
Aye.
Dr. Barber?
Aye.
President Oliver?
Aye. Thank you. All right, you're welcome. Mr. Woody, would you please read Resolution 14-11?
Resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 1240 West Thomas Street, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 6-year real property tax abatement for void services.
Thank you. Mr. Furlick, could you please give us the report from Community Investment this afternoon?
Sure. Community Investment sends 1411 forward to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Now we have a presentation, Mr. Boyd. Please state your name and address.
My name is Eric Boyd, 1207 West Thomas Street.
And now your presentation.
Basically, I'm here today to save a landmark, 1240 West Thomas. It is currently a firehouse that is in a dilapidated condition. It's 94 years old. The structure there on the corner of Walnut and Thomas has held a firehouse for 124 years. Basically, we're here to save it. Greg Kill, engineers came out and seen the site. He does agree that it's salvageable. That's pretty much our proposal to save the landmark. It's made into a crematory as well as a affordable funeral home for St. Joseph County residents.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the council for Mr. Boyd? Seeing none, hearing none, we now move to public. Those in the public like to speak in favor of this bill, please, resolution, please come forth. Mr. Boyd, could you split up we have for one person? Please state your name and address and share your thoughts.
My name is Cecil Eastman. I live at 57112 Peachstone Avenue. I'm happy to see this building, what's left of it, being turned into something useful instead of what is now, unfortunately, just a pile of bricks. I tend to ride next to the building when I ride my bicycle into town, and it's in a beautiful old part of town that needs some attention, and that building with some attention would be a definite asset to that part of town.
Thank you, Mr. Anyone else would like to speak in favor of this resolution? Seeing none, anyone would like to speak against this resolution? Please come forth and share your thoughts. Seeing none, we close the public hearing and move it back to the council portion.
Yes, please. Move for the favorable adoption of Bill 1411.
So second. Mr. Woody, would you please read the roll? Take the roll.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Mr. Scott? Aye. Mr. Henry Davis? Aye. Mrs. Shea?
Aye.
Dr. Furlick?
Aye.
Dr. Barber?
Aye.
Mr. Furlick?
Aye.
President Oliver Davis?
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Woody, would you please read Resolution 14-08?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, endorsing the Spring Forward, a community beautification initiative to help deter blight, vandalism, and theft of vacant and abandoned buildings by utilization, creative, and artistic boarding.
You had a residential neighborhood meeting this afternoon, and Councilwoman White, could you please give us that report?
Yes, a residential neighborhood committee met this afternoon. We sent Bill 14-08 to the full council with favorable recommendation.
Thank you, Councilwoman White. Now, yes?
I'd just like to, again, reiterate, my wife runs a neighborhood resources corporation, and any funds or anything that might come that way, I'm going to recuse myself from voting.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Scott. So there will be 7 votes on this. At this time, we would like to have a presentation. Please state your name and address and show us your presentation.
Christopher Stackwitz, 51308 Gilroy Court, and I am asking the Common Council to endorse our Spring Forward initiative, which is a community beautification initiative designed to deter blight, vandalism, and theft of vacant and abandoned buildings by utilizing creative and artistic boarding. It's very much a grassroots effort, and we believe it will offer much success and some positive solutions for the first step in economic redevelopment and the aesthetic stabilization process. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments from the council? Yes, Mr. Davis.
Thank you, sir. Just a quick note, and I think I've pressed you on this before, and I just wanted to make sure, because this could be a great thing if it goes on really well. In your examples and explanation of this particular program, most of the properties that have been used in this manner with new artistic appeal have always been, or what I've seen, has always been commercial properties. Obviously, this is a new venture given residential properties. So if this goes well for the city, we could potentially become some site that people can actually look at to do with their residential properties. Am I correct? Unless there's other examples of residential properties given this type of artistic appeal.
There are some other cities that have attempted to do this and have been successful, and Cincinnati was one of them. They've only done a handful of properties to date. They've mostly focused only on the commercial properties.
Right.
We have been asked by a number of neighborhood associations to continue this project, and we were also recently approached by the City of Washington, D.C.'s Vacant and Abandoned Homes Initiative to continue this project in Washington, D.C. as well.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we are actually could be the catalyst for this type of development of the city.
And the City of South Bend will be the catalyst for
that. That was my point. Yes. That's my point. So if it goes over well, everybody will look at the City of South Bend as what could happen or what can be done.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm getting at. So I was just wondering, because of the all examples, all I've ever seen was commercial properties.
Yeah, and we believe, because so many cities have the vacant and abandoned homes problem, that this is another way of treating that.
And so it's a reason to celebrate, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
County Councilwoman, you would like to share your thoughts?
Well, I'm just the other part of the team. It's a public-private partnership between Neighborhood Resources Corporation at 217 South Michigan, South Bend, and C-Stack Studios, owned by Chris and Stackford. So we're looking forward to seeing beautiful boards in the neighborhoods in the city of South Bend.
And can you just share one more thing, the schools that are participating for the public?
Both Measle School and Dickinson School are participating at a very high level because particularly around Measle, I believe there are 27 vacant and abandoned houses around the perimeter of Measle School, and they're quite interested in having their students participate and the parents then do the installation on Sunday. So we're excited about working with the schools, yes.
Thank you. Now, this time, if there are no other questions from the council, we will open it up to the public for any public discussion. Those who would like to speak in favor of this resolution, please stand and share your thoughts and your address and your stuff.
I'm Gary King, 730 North Hill Street, South Bend, and I live in a neighborhood that has a number of vacant and abandoned buildings, and most of them have been taken down and restored to, we're looking like vacant lots and new houses now. But in the transition time, it sure would have been nice to have blackboards with pictures of cats or flowers in the windows or painted curtains. And it would make things look a lot better in many neighborhoods. Just driving by, you don't see plywood or particle board. You see something that looks like, it looks more like a home. My only question would be, do you have to have anything in the way of permission from anybody to do that? Obviously, the property is abandoned. Nobody's taking care of it. But what happens if the property owner says, I didn't know you were doing that. You're in trouble with me now.
We'll have them respond to that in a rebuttal. Okay? Thanks. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Pettijohn. I live at 119 South 26th Street, and I am fully in support of this resolution because I'm one of the artists.
Okay. Anybody else would like to speak in favor of this?
Eric Boyd, 1240 West Thomas. Actually, I've been a recipient of their services. The firehouse actually did have some paint and graffiti on there. They actually came and took care of it. It's actually very satisfying.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, would you like to respond to that question that they asked?
Sure. We've worked very diligently with the Notre Dame Legal Clinic to make sure that we are following Good Samaritan law through all of the details of it, and we're under the firm assurances that if a property owner has a major issue with this, we can either restore the plywood to plain plywood, if that is what they so prefer, and if they wish to pursue legal remedies, then perhaps they should be paying the lien on their house instead of going after the artist.
Thank you, sir. All right. Seeing no further comments, we'll go back to the council for your recommendation.
For the favorable adoption of Bill 1408. Second.
Okay, Mr. Wood, would you please take the roll? 1408.
Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
And President Alvarez.
Aye.
That would be 7 ayes.
That's correct. Okay, Mr. Woody, could you please read Resolution 1409?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, granting preliminary approval to a proposed ordinance amending Chapter 17, Article 2, Division 3 of the South Bend Municipal Code pursuant to recommendation of the United States Environmental Protection Agency.
We had a utilities meeting on this afternoon, and Dr. Warner, could you please give us that report?
Yes, sir. The Utilities Committee had a public hearing committee meeting on 1409 this afternoon, and after some pretty detailed explanations, it comes to the council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. We'd like to have a presentation on that. Resolution 1409, I think that's Mr. Horvath. If you could please come forth and share us a brief synopsis. Very brief.
This article, we will ask for preliminary approval of the ordinance. It changes the way we allocate pollutants to our industrial users so that it's more business friendly. This ordinance would then adjust the local limits that we have set in place for those limits and would then go to the EPA for approval. Upon EPA's approval, would come back to the council as an ordinance to be moved forward with at that time.
Okay. Before we go to the council, our attorney, everything that you need for this is out here? Okay. Council, any questions? Okay, thank you. Anybody from the public like to speak in favor of this bill, 1409? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Back to the council for a recommendation.
Move for the favorable adoption of Bill 1409.
Second.
Mr. Warden, would you please take the roll?
Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
And President Alvarez.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Warden, could you read Resolution Bill 14-12?
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, proudly endorsing the submittal of the South Bend Cemetery being nominated to be placed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Thank you. Dr. Furlick.
I just went to the council with a full recommendation.
Yes, favorable recommendation from our Parks and Community Relations. And Mr. Steve Nemeth and Mr. Chris Huff, could you all please come forth and just make a brief recommendation to fill in for those who cannot make it this afternoon? Thank you for doing this.
Steve Nemeth with South Bend, correct.
I would like to thank Alicia Faisal from Historic Preservation who put this together. Did an incredible job.
We can help here.
I'd like to thank
Thank you.
Alicia Faisal for work putting this together for us. I think this will help us applying for grants in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, my name is Christopher Huff, 1831 College Street. Approximately 9 months ago, thank you for your attention, I was up here ranting about the condition of City Cemetery. Since that time, I've been working with the committee, Steve, the director of the Parks Department, Alicia, etc. I did not prepare the nomination form or program, but absolutely, totally in favor of it. This is one method of protecting the integrity of the historic portion of the cemetery, and as everything else catches up with that, we hope to see some very significant changes to the condition and to the celebration of the patrimony of the community at that location, in addition to improvements to the surrounding neighborhood. So I highly recommend that you approve it. And also, if I may, the Chamber of Commerce, particularly the Tourism Division, has signed off on this and is very supportive of it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Neiman and Mr. Huff. At this time, questions from the council? No questions? I'd like to thank you all for stepping up to do that. Opening it up to the public. Those who like to speak in favor of this from the public, please come forth. Those who like to speak in opposition of the cemetery. Please come forth. All right, seeing none. Council, you're I didn't know which way the mayor was coming on that. Okay, no, I didn't know. Okay, you were just coming to sit. All right, council.
I move for the adoption of Bill 14-12.
Second. Okay, no. Mr. Woody, would you please take the roll?
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Barner.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Aye. Mr. Henry Davis. Aye. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
President Dougherty.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. Now for my last resolution, Mr. Woody, could you read 14-13?
The joint resolution by and between the City of South Bend, Indiana and the South Bend Community School Corporation jointly opposing legislation reducing or eliminating business personal property taxes within the state of Indiana.
Thank you. Our community investment team had a very brief moment. Could you share what happened?
Sure. Due to time constraints, we didn't have a full question and answer session, so we send 14-13 to the full council with no recommendation.
Okay. And our presenter at this time, we would like to have our Mayor Buttigieg, please come forth and share us his presentation.
Did I say due to limited time constraints?
And the council will indulge me. I'd like to ask School Board President Michelle Engel to join with us.
That is fine. Welcome.
Thank you. The reason that this resolution is coming before the council at this time is that it's important for cities and school corporations and other units of local government to weigh in on a discussion going on in Indianapolis right now that could affect our bottom line at the deal. And while ordinarily I'm pleased to be standing alongside the school corporation on offense, so to speak, talking about good things happening, as Dr. Schmidt and Michelle Engel and I were earlier today as we were celebrating a partnership with the Energy Office that benefited the students at Green Elementary School. Today we're on defense a little bit because there is a move in the State House that we think could seriously damage the ability of both the city and the school corporation to meet the needs of those we serve. And so we are one of a number of cities, I think the most recent one in our neighborhood is Goshen, to look at a joint resolution where different units of local government speak with one voice about our concern about the consequences of the act that's being considered in Indianapolis. I have a few remarks on why I think this is urgent, but at this time I'd like to turn it over to the president of the school corporation, Michelle Engel.
Thank you very much, Michelle Engel, School Board President, 215 St. Joseph Street. Thank you so much, Mr. President, members of the council. I appreciate this opportunity to speak and this opportunity to kind of speak in solidarity with you, from the school board to the city council. I urge you to support this resolution, to adopt this resolution opposing the legislation that will either eliminate, and we're not sure what this legislation is, but eliminate or reduce the business personal property tax in Indiana. And as I urge you to adopt this resolution, we have not adopted it yet. I hope that the school board will adopt it on February 18th. So at that point, not tonight, but at that point, I can only tell you about my vote, but I hope that it would become a joint resolution of both the school board and the common council. So and I just wanted to say a few words. I just think we as elected governing bodies are asked to provide an awful lot, I think, to the citizens. And you know what you're asked to provide. We looked at an awful lot of it at today's meeting. One of the things, of course, is plowing streets, police and fire protection, overseeing vacant and abandoned housing, managing water works, wastewater. I could go on and on and on. You know that. The importance cannot be overstated of all these duties and things that the city must do. And the school corporation has an incredibly important charge as well. The corporation is responsible for educating all citizens, every citizen. It's such a huge responsibility, and it requires significant community investment. And it requires significant investment, but I think, and I hope you all think, that it's worth it. We need an educated citizenry. And as this city, as I said, with all the things this city must do, it cannot afford to lose the $8 million that is projected to be lost if this legislation passes. Likewise, the South Bend Community School Corporation cannot afford to lose the projected $3.4 million that it is set to lose if this legislation passes. And these are projected numbers, but they're big numbers. And we're already, I don't want to say a bare bones operation, but we can't afford to constantly be cutting year after year after year. So I was excited to be approached with this idea of a joint resolution, because we have a chance to stand in solidarity at this time and speak to the state in a much bigger voice than what you can use or what the school board. We pass resolutions occasionally opposing things in the state, and we recently did with the grading. But I think when two elected bodies come together, we speak with a much stronger voice, and that excites me. I think it helps us to better represent the citizens that we represent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I could just add on to that a little bit. First, I want to clarify, this is not a regional north versus south or Indianapolis versus the outskirts or Republican versus Democrat issue. Recently, I was part of a group of mayors, the Republican mayor of Indianapolis, the Democratic mayor of Kokomo, the Republican mayor of Evansville, the Democratic mayor of Fort Wayne, myself, and the Republican mayor of Carmel, all sitting down with the governor to urge him to lead the way away from legislation that does not provide some kind of replacement value in the event that this tax is going to be phased out for businesses. There's a valid concern that having the business personal property tax on the books in Indiana could make us less attractive for investment. But the message that we had to the State House and Senate and to the governor is that we will be even worse off if we try to pursue that kind of tax relief in a way that undermines education and infrastructure, which are the things by which we compete. Indiana's already in the top 10 for tax climates, but we've seen recently that in many cases we lose out on business opportunities to businesses that choose to go to a higher tax environment, presumably because they believe the overall package that they're getting in terms of the infrastructure, education, workforce, and other resources available to them, make it worth paying that price. The governor was very reassuring in our discussion with him, but then we've gotten mixed signals from the state. And that's why in advance of tomorrow, when I'll be again joining the Republican mayor of Indianapolis to speak out about this, it would be helpful to be able to say that the city of South Bend has spoken through our legislative body, and it will be even more powerful when there's been an opportunity for the school board to speak on this, for us to say that schools and the city have weighed in at the same time. Not to say that we believe that you should never adjust or touch the personal property tax, but rather to say, first of all, we prefer the means of flexibility we already have, tax abatement process that is in the hands of our elected officials here in the council. And secondly, that if it is going to be phased out, as for example has been discussed in Michigan, that there be an adequate replacement revenue. And indeed in the Michigan example, which many of the proponents of this reform have cited, 4 years were spent devising a proper revenue replacement, and there is in fact revenue replacement guaranteed by the state. I don't think it's our intention to be inflexible about the structure of taxation. It is our intent to establish that we are down to muscle and bone, and there is no way you could cut $8 million out of the budget of the city of South Bend, especially when we're talking about property tax dollars that go mostly into the general fund, without talking about serious reductions in the availability of police, fire, roads, and/or parks in order to meet what could be a very crushing restriction on our revenue. And with that presentation is concluded, we'll be happy to take questions.
Thank you. I'd like to ask questions from the council, starting with Councilman Scott.
I just want to say I was at Schaefer Pier a week or so ago on tour. One thing that they noted, they take a $200,000 hit right away, but they also know what it would do to our community if that was completely taken away. I'm encouraged that you're pushing for this and also looking for alternatives. Well, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilman Davis?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, President Eagle. I heard you say something about defense and offense, and I played ball all my life, and the best defense you had was a great offense. And so, what are we doing in transition? I was part of a team a couple years ago. We got Senate Bill 443, which is the personal property business taxes adopted for the Initial Park area, which allowed the growth of a data realty that, helped us bring data realty, and obviously produce over 30 jobs, I think. And what I'm getting at is that earlier I spoke to you about replacement of new housing in given areas and different things that allow us to continue to grow. I gave you applause for looking at extending city services so we can expand and also bring in more revenue to our enterprise zones as well, or enterprise funds as well. And so what I'm getting at is with the supermajority down there, I'm kind of questioning, the feasibility of this actually, making a difference. I'm not saying we shouldn't speak our voice, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't voice our opinion, because I think that's necessary, but what I'm talking about is the transition. Clearly, Indiana is working towards more business-friendly environment as much as possible to recruit these businesses in. So on the back end of it, although we oppose this, I'm in support of it. What are we doing in the interim, in the transition phase, to make sure that we're set up to capture some of the businesses that are trying to recruit here in Indiana for South Bend? And go back to housing, obviously property tax is a big thing, but also expanding our tax base for new businesses as well. Because a supermajority makes me nervous, okay? And when you have a supermajority, that just basically says it's probably going to happen. So what are we doing in transition to make those things helpful for us to grow if this actually indeed happens? Are we even talking about cross-train, splitting a fire? It's a reality at this point. It may be a reality. As we've seen in Michigan, that's what they have been doing. I'm not advocating for it. Believe me, I am not. I think those are too specialized skills and skill sets. So I'm not advocating for that. But given what has happened and paying attention to this thing called cutting our budgets and reducing taxes as well, I want to impress upon you that there needs to be a plan in between. It's just not the A and C. It has to be a B in the middle as far as the transition. So I'll support this, but I strongly urge your administration, yourself, and also the council to begin to look at the transitional phases that we probably haven't tapped into heavily. And even some of the things that are foundational, again, going back to housing. How are we reintroducing new housing into this area, even to the areas that are more depressed than others, so that we can begin to collect those dollars. But thank you again for your voice, and I'm supporting this.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, President Engel. I support this.
Thank you very much. I concur 100% with what you said. I think we do have to look further into this, though, and that Michigan, as you know, is phasing it out. Our competitors to the east and west, Ohio and Illinois, do not have a business personal property tax. And the other comment is that I think the biggest hindrance to getting jobs in this state is a uneducated workforce. And I think that's where Michelle comes in. So I agree with you at this point. It's way too drastic for our city to handle. So I concur with your resolution.
Councilman.
Thank you. If we put politics aside and we look at the situation in the city of South Bend, the council's responsibility is fiscal responsibility primarily. And as you know, the mayor's is administrative. I take that seriously, and I support this resolution because I recognize a couple of things. Number one, the city of South Bend is up against the tax caps. Not every community in the state of Indiana is up against tax caps. In other words, we have, because of no new net growth in the city, we have raised the maximum amount of revenue that we can with the amount of growth. We have, however, administered TIF districts over a large portion of the community, and I'm afraid you and Ms. Engel will probably take issue with this, because I know that TIF districts are considered by school corporations, libraries, and things to have removed significant amounts of revenue from their revenue stream. So we asked the state to look seriously at what might be a difficult proposal for the city of South Bend. I think we have to take an honest look at our application of TIF districts within the corporate limits of the city of South Bend. When you have 30% of our geographic area and probably 75% of our new growth in the last 20 years within TIF districts, we sort of created some of the problem for ourselves. Now, it appears to be successful in some areas, but in other areas it's left us very much underfunded. I do believe that fiscal responsibility is a primary. I support it because I know we have no place else to go for those revenues. But I think we could start at home doing some things which would maybe not leave us in this situation in the future. And if you are referencing the state of Illinois, they generally keep their large corporations there by bribing them with huge tax packages to the state. So it may be a higher tax state, but it's keep it steady. That's another discussion we have.
Thank you for the presentation. I think it's important.
Let me finish. I'm sorry.
I will support the resolution. I'm glad to see the school corporation standing with the city, because I think it's very important that we not only this issue, but other issues as it impacts our citizens and the students, that the more that we can work collaboratively together, the better off our city will be. I'm glad to see that.
Again, we're glad to have you, President Engel, here with us, and Mayor, we support this, and we're pleased to have your presentation. At this time, we'd like to hear from the public. Those who like to speak in favor of this resolution that's been presented by President Engel and Mayor Buttigieg, please come forth and share your thoughts. Seeing them, those who like to speak in opposition to the presentation, please come forth in your name and share your thoughts.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. First off, making comments like, other counties in Indiana aren't having to deal with the tax caps. That's a joke. Every county in Indiana is dealing with it. The mayor's come up there numerous times. You implemented a safety tax. You implemented low-it tax. You doubled the low-it tax. We've been slapped with a wheel tax that was supposed to be temporary.
Now you want to continue to bash business with this personal tax. The only businesses that really get hit hard on this is small business. Because we can't come up here, I'm a small business owner, I can't come up here and say, give me a tax abatement, I want to go out and buy some new backhoes or whatever. You know, big businesses, they come up here and do it all the time. So number one, if you're concerned with those taxes, don't give those abatements. Lower the tax a little bit and get rid of the abatements. The state had a bright idea to allow communities to create TIF districts. All we've done is created a monster. One of the councilmen up there just mentioned the TIF districts. Yeah, we need to take a big look at that because most of that TIF money is allowed to be spent, I think, without even coming before the council. So where does all that money go? You got school districts, they have a budget every year. Commissioner Walker, for instance, just came and asked the people for $28 million for maintenance on buildings. We have maintenance money every year that goes into funds, but none of the maintenance was done. So now you got big problems and you come back to the people again. We've been hit hard enough. Look in your own pockets. The mayor says we're down to muscle and bone. That's a joke. Take a little closer look at some expenditures that go out of this city. There's still millions of dollars they can cut. They just need to tighten their belts up like they expect us to do as a citizen and as a small business.
Anybody else like to speak in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, hearing none. Rebuttal? You wait to rebuttal on that one? Okay. Thank you. Then we bring it back to the council portion for your recommendation.
I'll move for the favorable adoption of 1413.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Woody, would you please take the roll?
Dr. Byrne.
Aye.
Mr. Curley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Scott. Aye. Mr. Henry Davis. Mrs. Shea.
Aye.
Dr. Furman.
Aye.
And President Albertine.
Aye.
8-5.
Thank you. Alrighty, Mr. Woody, could you please have a first reading on Bill 04-14?
First reading on bill of the Common Council of the State of South Bend, Indiana, amending Chapter 17, Article 2, Section 17-27.1 of the South Bend Municipal Code to increase waste discharge rate from $0.06 to $0.151 per gallon.
President Davis, I make a motion to send this to the Utilities Committee on 2/24.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is carried. Mr. Woody, would you please have a first reading on Bill 05-14?
First reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving an interlocal agreement between the City of South Bend and the South Bend Public Transportation Corporation and further appropriating $972,500 from COLA Fund 404 to participate in a compressed natural gas fueling facility project and its operation pursuant to the interlocal agreement.
I'd like to move 0514 go to the Personnel and Finance Committee as well as the Property Vacation and Public Works Committee for second and third reading on February 24th.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? It is carried. Mr. Woody, would you please have a first reading on Bill 06-14?
First reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the Teamster Employee Wage Ordinance, number 10267-13, to correct the attached schedule of positions and wage rates.
Mr. Board, I'd like to send Bill 614 to Personnel and Finance Committee for second and third reading for February 24th.
On the personnel committee.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Before we have Mr. Woody to read Bill 07-14, we want a clarification from our attorney again to make sure this is what date is this one going to?
March 10th.
March 10th, and it's going to utilities on March 10th. Okay.
It seemed that there was a request to possibly do it for 2/24, and then if conversations are not complete,
Continue it again if
conversations are not complete, continue it again.
That was, perhaps I misunderstood, but,
The mayor did say that at the following the committee meeting.
okay. Yeah,
Only the mayor's going to be gone the September, the 28th, so you want us to...
24th, after the reading.
Okay, fine. Let's go. Mr. Woody, please read.
On the bill of the common council of the city of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing and establishing boundaries for South Bend to furnish water and sewer service to the public.
I'd like to move that bill 714 go to the Utilities Committee for second and third reading on February 24, 2014.
Correct.
Second.
Correct and second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Are there any more unfinished business to come before this council tonight?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Davis.
I would like to notify the rest of the council, as we have talked about this between myself, you, and also Councilmember White, about the corridor projects. And I just wanted to make sure that everything is being, there's a clarity level of clarity for all folks that are part of this discussion. I've come to find out there have been some subcommittees and groups of artists that started to talk over what the corridors look like. I came on the back end of it, and obviously I was a part on the front end of for these particular projects. And I'm not, digging at what's going on, but what I want to make sure is that the conversation is happening with the folks who need it the most. I'm not sure who are all participating in those different groups or within those groups, but I think that the folks that have to directly involved with Lincoln Way Corridor, the community groups, as well as Western Avenue Corridor, they're all participating. I don't know who's participating on either end right now, but I think it's highly necessary that those individuals get the opportunity to sit, even before we get started with consultants, but now talking to consultants in the area, they have the opportunity to participate at a very high level because of those folks that the monies were put out there for a resolution, et cetera, per the budget, so that this could potentially have a positive benefit on those particular corridors in those areas.
Okay. I'll follow up with that this week and then send an email back to all of us.
I can shed some light on that.
Okay.
In regards to the committee, if council members can recall, last year we had two updates of the beginning discussion of the corridors through the community investment. At this time, the consultants have been selected. I'm going to ask that we have updated to the council at our next meeting, time would permit, along with the members of the committee itself, and would ask that Scott Ford from the Community Investment will come to the council and give all council members update on the work today. I serve as a member of the steering committee as a member of the Urban Enterprise Zone, because the Urban Enterprise Zone committed $150,000 towards the consultant fee. So if it meets the approval of the council, we'd like to have the community investment to come to the council to give update on the status, as well as the members of the committee that have been selected from all the neighborhood associations, from Lincoln Way Corridor, as well as Western Avenue as well.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Very good.
Mr. Froelich, you all can schedule something, and we can put something together. Okay. Any other unfinished business that's going to come between now and the time we have our next council? Alrighty. Seeing any new business?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Councilman Davis.
The last point for tonight, I am highly interested on some of the things that we talked about earlier about raising revenue, expanding our tax base, and also find out what a new growth can potentially happen at. There's been a number of conversations that have been centered around that, the sewer project, whether we're doing a sewer separation project, we're trying to pay off the sewer separation project, or going out and extending sewer and water services to outlying areas. We've also had an opportunity to have discussions in committee hearings about the different major corporations that use our sewer and water, and where they're potentially dumping the water off that, which will potentially cause some sort of hazard, health and public safety hazard. In understanding what was going on in that conversation, it appeared that we're sort of like landlocked, and we also are probably like at our limit on where we can maybe grow at or not. So what I'm getting at is that we can't continue to raise rates to improve the quality of life on folks who are not getting a benefit with an expanded tax base. So where are we going to go from there? Go from here? Clearly the state is trying to wipe away some more taxes that will probably cause more hurt and harm to us. And if that happens, then how do we grow out of this if we can? What's the contingency plan? And how are we working right now to attract new businesses and expand the tax base? Because if we're not doing those things in the interim, it doesn't matter if we continue to go back at the budget and talk about a balance. We will just probably end up at zero at one point in time. Nothing to gain and obviously nothing to lose. So I'm really interested in the lifeline of how our dollars are coming into the city and how are we measuring new growth and where it's actually happening at.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Davis. Any other new business to come before the council tonight? Privilege of the floor. Go to the floor. You have 3 minutes to share anything that was not on the agenda with this council, and you can share your concerns with Clerk John Vorty, and this council will respond back to you as fast as we can. All those who would like to have voice in the privilege of the floor, could you just please come over to the podium. Thank you.
Thing up to your foot. The derivation of podium is the Latin word that means foot. I'm Gary King, 730 North Hill Street. Now I'll try to be very brief about 2 items. One, I was at the Northeast Neighborhoods Council meeting just before I got to this meeting, and one of the citizens at that meeting mentioned that trash pickup in our part of town is being not done very well, which is, she said that in the alleys that she looked at, some of the trash has not been picked up for 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks in some cases, and this is in the 4th District, so Dr. Furlick will probably hear from her or other people who are in that area. It seems to me that we need to say to the plowing people, you are doing a great job of clearing the streets under the circumstances, but please do not block the alleys. Sometimes the alleys are passable except for the entrance to the alley or the exit from the alley because there's a pile of like 3 feet or so of snow. So if you could address that to the appropriate department, that would help. Second item, and I'll be about 2 minds. I just heard you pass a resolution, joint resolution, that's going to go to the state legislature or the governor or both, about the position of South Bend with regard to the taxes. A few weeks ago, you passed a resolution about the marriage amendment that was before the state legislature. I really wish that you hadn't done that. That's a very controversial issue. And I wish that the members of the council would remember that we elected you to deal with matters that pertain to the business and the welfare of the citizens of South Bend. And when the council did not agree unanimously, and there was no great upswell of support for this from the community, and then you send a resolution to the state saying that you are in favor or opposed to whatever. It turned out the marriage amendment and you were opposed to the marriage amendment. I personally think that the state of Indiana is right now in the right place. There's a state code that defines marriage as between one man and one woman. When we commonly think of marriage, we think husband and wife. Hopefully family. I know that society is going haywire, but let's not change the definition of marriage, especially when that's not city business.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak before this council tonight? Seeing none? Thank you, Councilman Scott, for taking time. The meeting is adjourned.
I wanted to say something. Another 15 minutes, I have a bet. I'm going beyond 9 o'clock. Please, take a 15-minute speech. Would you lose a 6-pack of beer to John? John, did I bet you beer? I bet Kathy. I bet somebody else a 6-pack of beer. No.
Email my basically questions, and then I can send it to you there. Just what I wanted to talk about. I'll look into it, so yeah, so he can do some research for it. Okay. All right, thank you.
But really, that's a good alley.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all. Good night. Good work. Wednesday night. Great work on that letter.
Well, we might go.
Loretta about this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hey, I'm good. I have a couple bags back. We can write it on. For the rich, I'm going, folks. I'm going to.
Yeah, let's figure out something.